Hi guys, welcome back. I have the pleasure today to introduce you to our new intern, Lukas, who has been with us since the beginning of the month. Welcome, Lukas. Maybe would you like to briefly introduce yourself? Where do you come from? What have you been doing so far in your life?
Yes, thank you, Anja, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. But I come from Brussels. I'm born in Germany, I'm raised in Germany, and I went to university in Germany. And then I would say I sort of tripped into EU politics. I have worked with the European Parliament and with the Council of the EU, where I have worked for the Austrian delegation.
That's right, you already had a connection with Austria before even coming here. But what motivated you to intern with us as an organization working on intolerance and discrimination against Christians? Is there any personal experiences you've had or any personal connections with this topic?
Well, before back to Brussels and with the European Union, I have worked on topics that contain economic policy, research policy, educational policy, and I learned a lot about the procedures, about how decisions are being made in Europe on our continent, which is important for our society. At the same time, for me in my whole life, always faith and politics have always been the two fields of interest in my life. And now that I saw the possibility to use the skills that I have gained in the political realm, but for a topic that's close to my heart, that motivated me.
Yeah, this whole question of religion in the public sphere and faith in the public sphere, it's really important, and it also has to do with our reporting, because this is a place where we often face, Christians often face issues if they want to share their faith in the public sphere, and they might or even just live coherently with their conscience and their religion. It can, sometimes really put challenges on your career path. However, I believe, and that's also what we've been documenting here, that even for students, it's oftentimes challenging. Have you experienced these kind of challenges already as a student?
Yes, and indeed I have. When I was part of university, and it's a time that I have enjoyed a lot in my life, I was involved with a Pentecostal university ministry on a voluntary basis, and I grew in my roles there. And at the same time, I would say we experienced that we were badly understood from other groups in the university.
How did this play out, or what did it mean?
That, for example, meant that in the University of Applied Science of our city, we were not recognized as an official university group, which also meant that we could not book rooms and that campus activities were not permitted, such as handing a coffee to pass-bys, because we wanted to have conversations with these people and to get to know them better.
But other groups, sports groups or like with other groups gathering around different topics, they had less trouble getting the permissions of being an official student group, you would say?
Yes, well, it depended. Some political groups also had issues. I think one has to be fair to say that. On the other hand, there were groups who were closely affiliated to, let's say, other political groups representing student government, and they also had better access to funding than we did. That was part of it.
So there was a certain bias, and the bias also meant that Christians had, just had trouble getting these kind of recognitions, had a harder time.
Yes, and I felt we were put in a box often because, as I said before, I think we were not that well understood. So people had an image of Christians, but that was not at all what we were.
I see.
And trying to explain who we really are and that we actually mean good for a campus life, that's a long way, and it took a long time to build trust.
How did you do that? How is it possible? Also, maybe for our listeners, what would you recommend students, young people, what path to take in order to build up this trust?
Yes, well, I believe in democracy. I live in democracy, and I'm a democratic citizen. So what we did is we used our democratic vote. Usually the participation in votes on different levels, also in our university for the student parliament, weren't that high. So what we did, we asked our friends, people from our own groups, whether they would like to run for a position in student parliament, which they did, and therefore then we got together and voted for them, and therefore we had the chance to get one or two people who are from our circles, who are close to us, and who understand us into these positions. So they sat on the table and they could raise a voice and explain our stances and needs.
To actually make sure you have at least a representative who on a different level can represent your cause, explain who you are, and therefore also minimize these prejudices that were already there against you as a Christian group.
Yes, I believe prejudice is a big, it's probably one of the biggest reasons why the issues are there, because once you get together on a table like we're doing right now, and you start to talk to one another, you start to realize that also the other person with a very different story has reasons and usually tries to make it good from their perspective.
Right.
But bringing these perspectives together is crucial. But that wasn't the only thing that we did. We also gathered together with the Catholic and the evangelical group, who are also Christian university groups, and therefore we see them as friends. We conducted 4 services actually together at the year. We talked together, we also prayed together, and we met to pray for campus life.
Lukas, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I think there's a lot for each of us to take out. Much of what Lukas had said might remind you of our documentary Self-Censored, with students with similar experiences, but I think it's really valuable that you share with us this very concrete idea of how to deal with it, how to build alliances with other Christians on your campuses, how to really make sure you also have some representation on a mini political level of your respective universities, and how to really seek this dialogue and talk to officials, to representatives, to the staff, to the professors, to other students, to make sure you can tear down these prejudices, you can actually show people who you truly are and what you want to contribute to campus life or to the life in your professional environment. So thank you, Lukas. We're looking forward to spending the next weeks with you here in our office, and we'll certainly hear back from you. Thank you, guys.